This thing on. Little scalpel out, baby. Let's go. Today sucked, man. I don't think I've ever had a day where I don't win a fucking trade. But that's how today went. And we got to still break it down, man. Because that's just what we got to do, man. Um, Looking back, I think I followed my rules to the best of my ability. Um, I had pretty simple daily goals today. Pretty much just execute all the first proper pullbacks, be patient for a clear risk, and make sure I don't have any losses over $30. I broke that one, not really purposefully on one of these trades, but it was only by a few bucks. Um, but I think I could have prevented that. I kind of got some slippage, but sometimes that's gonna happen. But I think I could have cut that one just a tad bit early to be safe. But um, I took some notes on these trades. I went 0 for 6 today, man, and you know the reason I kept trading is because I was controlling my losses. I was cutting them when I should have. So I surprisingly wasn't really. I didn't really get emotional on most of these, and I wasn't doing any revenge trading or anything like that. But I probably took one too many stabs on I think 2 of these today. But sorry, I'm just looking at my notes up top. But I did take a few notes and some things that I saw that I can definitely improve on going into next week. So let's just jump into the recording here. This was the first trade for me, was on MRM. And quick note, this one did not have any breaking news. And I think that's where I went a little bit wrong today, is maybe just being a little bit too aggressive on a bunch of these plays didn't really have breaking news, and I think that's something that's going to be able to make me keep my trades as consistent as possible, is, for example, only trading things that have breaking news. Because a lot of these, I'm sorry, let's just say all the fucking trades I took today ended up failing, and pretty much all of them had no breaking news. So that's a good thing for me to see going into next week. However, this one was the top gainer for the morning, so that is why I was interested in it. And you can see we kind of were just going sideways all of pre-market. We did have like this 250s pivot right here, so once we started pushing right here, my bigger picture thought was that we could get like a clear out of all this pre-market area and kind of get a push for that 250s. That was just kind of sitting in the back of my head. But again, I was trying to just trade what I was seeing. And this was what I was seeing. We were getting a nice little move right here. What was I doing here? Nice little pop, pull back, and then pop again, and then we immediately started pulling back, and I like that because we didn't make a big move yet. And as you can see, we immediately started to come down and test the 5-minute 8. Let's see. Kind of looking like it wants to set up a 1-minute flag here. Being patient. Coming down, testing the 1-minute 20. We're testing the 5-minute 8 right here. I think I stabbed an entry pretty soon here. Okay, so yeah, so I went ahead and slapped an entry here. Now this was kind of in anticipation. I think I could have been a little bit more patient for waiting for this 5-minute candle to close right here. But, sometimes I do anticipate an entry. But I just think I'm going to have better luck. Not saying that I did anything wrong or that this was a bad entry. I did kind of get like a shitty fill here, but it is what it is. I think in hindsight, I probably could have had better timing, if you will say, because we still had about 30 seconds. Now, this is good seeing like that this is getting a little bounce right here. But again, I think I probably could have just got better timing if I waited for this 5-minute candle to close. You see I jumped the gun a little prematurely, and then see how the next 5-minute candle opens and see if we start getting that push candle, and then I can get an entry because my timing would be better there. Let's say that 5-minute candle rips through to new highs. I'm in that same 5-minute candle. I'm not sitting here waiting for a minute or two, taking an entry off this pullback candle. I get close to the apex point, which is like, when the stock reverses and when it starts pushing. I want to be as close to that as possible, Because, once I take my entry, I kind of want to see it go, man. I don't like sitting in there all day. Um, Obviously, the less time you're in a trade, sometimes, you're just exposed to less risk. 'Cause so you see, I think I did add more right there. So I kind of had like mainly a starter, but I added some more here. Um, I think this would have been a better candle to just take my full position on, because now we have the clear risk right here, 214s. It looks like we're starting to get that push candle. This would have been better timing. You can see it started to want to push, but we still haven't made that first 1 minute candle to make a new high, which is kind of confirmation that we're going to start pushing. Yeah, and this came right back down. It broke that level, and I had the discipline to get out of the trade, because if we're going to break that level, that means that we're going to continue lower for the time being. Who knows where the bottom is? I don't know, and I don't want to find out, and I'm not going to stick around to find out. But I was willing to give this another try, and I think that, especially like since this made such a small move, and that this didn't, get some momentum and break out, in hindsight, I don't think that this was worth another try. But I did anyways, and that's what we're here to review. My decisions, in trying to put some context and some reasoning behind it. Now, I kind of entered this because we started to that 5 minute candle started to turn into like a doji. I missed this nice pullback here. This was this was actually the top gainer. This probably obviously would have been a better play, because this was the one that was making a move. But I kind of looked away from this because, that's just how it goes sometimes. You look away from some, you're like, oh, it's not my style, and then that ends up being the one that this put in a nice pullback, and then it put in a nice reversal right here. This would obviously, in hindsight, probably would have been a better stab, but it was a cheaper stock, a cheap penny. I don't love that price range, but I don't hate it, so I don't know. I probably could have gave that a try, but it's all good. Um, let's see. I think I took another entry on this one. This one I actually waited a little bit. This was better timing. So on this trade, it was better timing because I entered on the after this 5 minute candle had closed, and now we're on a fresh 5 minute candle. Once I seen that it started to look like it might want to maybe push here. First 1 minute candle to make a new high right there. I think this probably would have been a better entry overall. I think this one was maybe like a little bit premature, but that candle did look like it wanted to be a push candle, so it is what it is. But ultimately, I did take another stab here, and it just rolled over. Volume was kind of low on it. Yeah, that's it for that, man. This trade didn't work. Well, that was my first two trades, so I took a loss and I took another loss on the same play. And I think the big picture on this one was that we didn't have any breaking news. Yeah, I think that was the big reason. No breaking news. Let's move on. Then I traded BINI. This one also of note, no breaking news. And what was even worse about this one was that it wasn't even on the freaking front page of my top gainers list. And I got a pretty long list here of like 10 plus. I give it some room to have a bunch of names up here. It wasn't even making this name. It was only up like, well, actually, no, it was at first. It was at first, but it was a little lower. But, when I wanted to trade it, this thing ended up like, kind of getting off the top gainers list. So I think what made this one not work out was, again, there was no breaking news, and it was so low on the gappers list. I had the question, are enough people seeing this, Because usually, like, my strategy and my setup works when there's a lot of eyes on it. There's a lot of volume. And, of course, when there's breaking news, to give people a reason to want to trade this thing. And although this one had, like, pretty good-looking price action, and I'd say, like, the volume profile here was decent. This thing was pretty low volume, too. Once I looked back at it, this thing had low relative volume. It was a reverse split. You can see the daily chart here is all fucking weird. I I think I could have avoided this one, but I was willing to give it a shot because I trusted that I was going to be patient on my entry, and I trusted that if it didn't work, which it didn't, that I was going to stop out without any emotions, and that's what I did. So I thought it was worth a try. And you could see this one actually, it looked like it wanted to make a move. But what I could have done better is timing on this one as well. So you see we still have 2 minutes left in this 5-minute candle. We did not make that 1-minute candle to make a new high, but I was anticipating it here because we just tapped the 5-minute 8. I was kind of anticipating that we would start pushing, which it looked like it wanted to here. But again, ultimately, I think I could have had better timing if I waited for this 5-minute candle to close. See how that 5-minute candle is going to close. Because look, it had a nice, it started to put in a nice wick. There's your first 1-minute candle to make a new high as the candle's closing. This is a little bit better timing because this candle's about to close. So I think I would have been willing to take. I'm already in, but I'm just saying like what a better entry might have been. As you can see, the next 5-minute candle opens, starts to push right here. That would have been a better candle to take my entry on. This area right here, this area right here. But ultimately, I still, still had a pretty decent entry. I was risking about 8 cents per share right here. My risk level was clear. The low of the pullback right here. And here's your first 5-minute candle to make a new high. It was just so close to my entry. I'm like, am I really going to take half my position off, only up like 5 cents a share? I mean, I was really looking for like this 257s at least. Once it worked, kind of, started to pull back from. I was looking for that at least, but as you can see, I had some conviction because I started to see the volume started to look like it wanted to increase right here. Looks like we're curling. I got my clear risk. This is a push candle. Everything looked good. I'm like, hey, this might catch a little move right here. You look like it started. I was up 10 cents a share right here. I probably could have took some profits off the table. I didn't, but really I was looking for like at least like a 250 break going into 257s, and I probably could have took a little bit right here, up 10 cents a share, but I just didn't. Ultimately, this one came back down, and I stopped out. But again, no breaking news on this one. Lower relative volume. I'm not surprised. Yeah, and that one ended up being a loser too. Okay, next up, let me go to my next recording. Oh wow, what is this? Nope, my bad. Okay, so next one, NTRB. This one, God, did this one have news? This one did have some news, but it wasn't really good news. It was kind of like FDA notification, something like that. So let me get a drink. Let's see this one. Okay, this was the first 5-minute pullback. The price action on this one was definitely choppier. It was whippier. But again, since this one had some sort of news, I had a little bit more conviction on it. But another red flag for me was we're only up 11%. Again, not even on the top gainers list. Probably could have avoided this one, but it was the. I mean, you kind of had the pullback here. I mean, I guess you could consider this the first 5-minute pullback, whatever. But whether this, again, I said I'm going to do the first 5-minute pullback. Whether I consider this the first or not, I'm not 100% sure. But on the 5-minute here, you're getting that first 5-minute flag look, so that's why I traded it. Anyways, just critiquing myself here. Probably way too early on my entry. It could have went here, but most likely, let's see. How was my timing? No, I guess my timing wasn't terrible. So this is so we came down. We already tested the 5-minute 8. As you can see, the wick right here. That's kind of how I put my risk off. And I did take an entry right here as it looked like it wanted to start to curl. New 5-minute candle opens. It almost comes down in. I think it actually stopped me out here. Let's see. No, so I didn't get stopped out yet. So this is my first trade on it. So I got a not a terrible fill, but I'm risking about 30 cents a share right here. You can clearly see the risk off. That we came down here, made a nice bounce. First 1 minute candle to make a new high was about right here. I got a little bit of a shitty fill, but I was looking for this 841 right here. I was looking for this target, and then ultimately maybe a push for a new high of day right here for nines. Um, yeah, just a lot of weakness today, man. It looked like it wanted to push right here. It was kind of pushing like 820s. I just really couldn't get much out of this, man. I really wanted to see that 840 break for me to take half off the table. That was at least going to be my first target. Just to keep it short, we didn't even get that. Like this was looking good, you know. I've seen this type of pattern before where it takes its time, and then it finally starts to extend. Um, let's see. Yeah, I'm out here freaking drawing lines. Or no, actually, hold on, let me see. I know I took 2 trades on this, but I can't figure out where the first one is. When I cut my first one. Huh. Did I get back in right there? Let's see. Hmm. Okay, maybe this was my second try on it, but ultimately I took 2 stabs at this one, and I just couldn't get it to work for me, man. Just couldn't get it to work for me. Um, red flags on this one. Maybe lower relative volume again. It wasn't terrible volume, but again, I think it was so low on the gap scanner. Was anybody else seeing this? And did anyone care about it? I think it proves that they didn't. I took 2 losses on that trade. And then let's go into my final one. SPRU, which was the best for the morning, which still wasn't great because, you know, there just wasn't any momentum today, man. And for the amount of trades I took, I probably could have stayed on the sideline for some of them. This was the highest quality trade. This was a nice first 1 minute pullback right here. Again, not really my cup of tea yet, but I really wanted to see this come and test the 5 minute 8, which it did right here. So you can see we put in a nice 1 minute pullback right here, pushed another 1 minute pullback. So, you know, this was a little bit extended. So I definitely didn't want to trade anything like that. I wanted to see a comeback down, test the 5 minute 8, maybe put in a nice pullback and then reverse, start to push for new highs. This one did have breaking news. So let's see how I traded this one. I'm being patient right here. I can see that we're coming down to test the 5 minute 8. And I went ahead and took an entry. Let's see. So once I seen this start to wick right here, maybe another early entry because we still have 2 minutes and 40 seconds on this 5 minute candle. But I mean, sometimes it's gonna go, man. Sometimes this thing's gonna wick and then it's gonna go. And I kind of just thought that this having breaking news, and this having like a better volume, I thought this might be the one. So I went ahead and took an entry, risking off the low of this pullback, 152s. And this one was testing that stop. I didn't want to stop out unless we broke 152s. As you can see, we're kind of holding 152s right here. I was like, okay, I'm definitely going to use this as my risk off. You see, we're kind of trying to bounce again. We still haven't made the first 1 minute candle to make a new high yet. We held 152 again, so I know that that's what I want to risk off of. And then, damn. You know what? I did not want to cut this trade. I felt it. I was like, I felt myself like getting stubborn. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just give it a little bit. No, I had the discipline, and even though I didn't like it, I said once that 152 breaks, I'm just gonna get out because it might want to pull back more, and I don't know where it's gonna pull back to. I mean, no one does. So as you can see, as soon as it broke 152 right there, I went ahead and cut the trade. Um, and I did want to show you because that one actually started to make like a little bit of a reversal after I was out of it. But I didn't catch the recording. Just want to show you the chart. Here we go. What's SPRU? Wow, what just happened here? Something's wrong with my chart, but okay, yeah. So here it is on the 5 minute right here. So this was kind of like that candle I got stopped out of. But you can see it did make a pretty decent move. So I had the right idea, just wasn't able to really catch that. As you can see, I had my line like right here. This is where we were testing that 152s. It broke through. That's where it stopped me out. And it found support at 146. Came down again. Nice double bottom right there. And I think my timing was just off on the 5 minute chart on that one. So, you know, as you can see, this was a nice candle to take an entry off of. But is what it is, guys. Those are my trades from the day. Nothing went my way. But I controlled all my losses. And honestly, I would have rather have lost 10 trades today, and just stuck to my plan. Because honestly, like I don't feel as bad as I would have if I sat here and had an emotional day and broke all my rules and just was trading bullshit all day. I tried my best. I tried to trade my plan the best I could, and it's just one of those days where nothing worked, and that's gonna happen. Um, but there's definitely some things that I can take into next week, like focusing on things that only are only pushing on breaking news, making sure I'm checking if we're on high relative volume, things like that, and trying to work on my timing on the 5 minute. Other than that, I'm gonna come back Monday strong. Let's go. Peace.